you very much. I now would like to welcome our witnesses to provide testimony in H.R. 3372, the One-Stop Shop Community Reentry Program Act of 2021, and H.R. 6878, the Pregnant Women in Custody Act. Subcommittee Chairwoman Jackson Lee, Representative Bishop, we are delighted that you are here. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Subcommittee Chairwoman Jackson Lee.
Chairman McGovern, thank you so very much, and Ranking Member Cole, thank you. Since this is a season of being thankful, let me first of all indicate my thankfulness for the life of the late Congressman Keaton, and indicate that as a friend, I am deeply saddened by his loss, and deeply saddened by the loss to his constituents, but most of all his family. He was passionate in his service. He worked across the aisle. He was, in fact, and will continue to be remembered as a great American. I thank you for allowing me to do that. And then might I thank the members of the Rules Committee as we come toward the end of the 117th Congress for all of the hours, days, minutes, and seconds that you have listened to members and helped move this engine of governance. You are a key and important role that you play, and I have had the pleasure of meeting up with a lot of you in this room over many years, and I do appreciate your work. Let me quickly, and thank Mr. Bishop for his presence here today. Let me quickly speak to two bills that I truly believe should move quickly, and hope that we will counter anyone's concern. One-Stop Shop, H.R. 3372 of 2021, and H.R. 6878, the Pregnant Woman in Custody Act of 2022. H.R. 3372, as I try to summarize very quickly, is a public safety-minded bill that would create a grant program within the Department of Justice to deal with local communities. We have an infrastructure of doing this on the federal level. There is not that. And so a grant program is created. The centralized centers open pursuant to this bill would offer those leaving incarceration the resources necessary to successfully rejoin, reintegrate in our communities. We know that the difficulty of reincarceration and crime comes from those who are, in fact, repeaters. This one-stop shop would be a program that more than 600,000 people who return to their communities each year after serving time in state and federal prisons, as do nearly 9 million people from county, and more than 2.5 million people complete parole or probation each year. This is what the program would do. Individuals with criminal convictions face daunting challenges. The overwhelming majority of those released are given minimum preparation and adequate assistance to get back on their feet. A criminal conviction may limit their prospects, and we've seen it in our own districts, of public housing, employment, access to social services. Even having a minor criminal conviction may erect substantial barriers and far-reaching collateral consequences, due in part to the difficulty of overcoming these barriers. 5 out of 6 people who have spent time in a state prison will be arrested for a new crime within 9 years of their release. Policies that are designed to improve reentry outcomes have broad bipartisan support, as demonstrated by the passage of the First Step Act that came out of our committee and had bipartisan support, which incentivizes education and recidivism reduction programs for people in the federal system. While the First Step Act and other initiatives have been successful at the federal level, the majority of returning citizens and the majority of incarcerated persons are in the state and local facilities and exiting state and local facilities, and there is a need for a more comprehensive approach to the challenge of reentry. I'd like to think small communities, villages, rural areas. An example of the type of community reentry center supported by this legislation is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where community groups offer a comprehensive model of reentry. The services offered through the Tulsa Reentry One Stop has significantly reduced recidivism and increased employment. In 2015, 77% of the individuals who successfully completed their reintegration program were still employed after exiting the program. This legislation would model this and would establish a grant program to support community reentry centers and ensure that support is made available for all individuals the moment they are released. Support would include transportation, I hear it often, housing, skills training. Additionally, a one-stop community reentry would assist in obtaining identification, I hear it often, you do too, certainly from the families, and help in applying for what eligible public benefits they have, which may include veterans benefit. Reentering individuals have formal reentry plans would be able to find case management and court-directed wraparound supported the one-stop community reentry centers. In addition to the one-stop community reentry, this bill authorizes a second mechanism, really for small communities, to assist reentering individuals in communities that don't have a large enough number of reentering individuals to maintain a standalone community. They'll get a 24/7 call-in line. Hopefully that will be helpful to them and make this applicable to our rural and small communities. So I applaud my colleague, Congresswoman Karen Bass, for drafting and championing this legislation. She has, of course, been, if you will, moved and elevated to become the mayor of the largest city in the nation, as I understand LA's profile. And we thank her for her leadership in this interest, in this area. Reentry services like these are going to be very important, and I believe this bill addresses questions that are important. Let me briefly say that the manager's amendment makes minor technical changes in order to incorporate the Department of Justice feedback. The second bill, pregnant women in custody, there's no doubt that this is a bipartisan bill, and it would establish federal policies to prohibit the use of restrictive housing on incarcerated pregnant women and develop a national standard of care to address pregnancy-related needs of incarcerated women, including access to prenatal and post-delivery care and support. We found in our hearings that in some prisons, they have handcuffed, they have feet cuffed, they have tied, if you will, with various containment items, women who are pregnant. While women are the fastest growing segment of the incarcerated population in the United States, discussions about criminal justice reform often exclude them. The United States is the second highest highest rate of women incarcerated in the world, with 64 women per 100,000 in custody, and there are an estimated 58,000 admissions of pregnant women into jails and prisons every year. We want to set the standard. In data compiled by the GAO, there were at least 1,200 pregnant women in custody of the U.S. Marshals Service, 524 pregnant women in the Bureau of Prisons custody between 2017 and 2019. H.R. 6878 would require BOP to collect data on the healthcare needs of pregnant women so that we may better understand the challenges of incarcerated women face. The bill would also require GAO to study state and local corrections facilities to understand the services and protections they need. Information saves lives. Pregnancy is not easy, and we've seen a high rate of maternal mortality. Let's not have it in our system and on our watch. In the GAO study, this bill would ensure incarcerated pregnant women receive vital prenatal health care and postpartum support. Pregnant women often lacked access to appropriate nutrition while incarcerated, and the use of restrictive housing and equipment can have detrimental effects on a woman's health as well as the health of her baby. It's important that women of color are known to be disproportionately impacted by incarceration. They also face higher risks of miscarriage and maternal mortality. The bill would ensure that BOP and the Marshals Service protect the health and safety of incarcerated women throughout their pregnancy, when they deliver their child, as they recover, because women serving time in federal and state custody, they deserve to receive proper care. Setting standards for the treatment of incarcerated women in federal custody will set a standard for state and local, and as we endeavor to navigate a new landscape for reproductive freedom across the country, let me also say that it complements legislation that I've introduced in past that would give an opportunity for infants to be kept for a period of time when a woman is in for a long period of time and gives birth. We must never forget women like Andrea Circle Bear, who entered federal custody while pregnant, contracted COVID-19 while in BOP's care, then later gave birth while on a ventilator and died without ever seeing her child. Better care could have been given. Let us make sure women receive proper health care and humane treatment while they're incarcerated, and let us not have any more Andrea Circle Bear. H.R. 6878 will support the health and safety of pregnant women, and again, I thank Congresswoman Karen Bass for the steadfast commitment to addressing this important issue. The manager's amendment makes one technical change to the budget provision and restores the language related to contraception to the text as introduced last Congress. This change comes from discussions in the Senate to ensure passage of the companion bill. Again, I thank the committee for its longstanding work, and I'm available for any questions. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.